My fiancé wants to see a friend while we're in his home state. How do I say no? Me and my fiancé are going to be in his home state for a day before we head about 4 hours away to spend an early Christmas with his family. To give you some backstory, my partner lived in a state 18 hours away from where we currently live. He was an addict and moved out here to start fresh and get clean. He hasn't been back there for more than a few hours in the past few years. Normally we pick his kids up as soon as we get off the plane and head to his uncle's house for Christmas. This year they have prior obligations, so we're staying in town for the day/night before we go. He messaged me about having me meet one of his friends, 29F, and I said yes. She's been clean and I've talked to her on more than one occasion since we've been together. The next text I get is about me meeting a different friend of his, 30F. I have a few issues with her. For one, she's still in active addiction as far as I know. Before we met, my fiancé had gone back to visit for a funeral and he used with her after being clean for a year. I don't trust that she's sober and won't yet again cause issues within his sobriety. Obviously this was his fault too, but she suggested it and provided. He was friends with her for a few years while he was married, and after him and his ex-wife broke up he was fuck buddies this girl. She's the one that he told his ex not to worry about. Obviously takes two to tango, but they were also essentially an addict couple and fed into each other's addiction. Because I'd totally love to meet some random chick he banged and is still friends with for some reason. The last thing is more about him, but the friendship they have bothers me because I've never talked to her or even heard him talk to her on the phone. I know he's not cheating on me. I've looked into his phone. Yeah, invasion of privacy and all that. And the weird part is their contact is pretty sporadic, but he calls her after we fight to get advice. I understand wanting a woman's perspective on certain topics. I've done the same with my guy friends. But with your ex. When we got engaged he told me he wanted to invite her to the wedding and I said hell no. I'm not inviting any of my exes. Hell, I don't even talk to my exes out of respect. I honestly just never thought I'd even meet this chick and have no interest in it. I'm not going to tell him, hey, you can't be friends with this girl, but the fact that he's just now being like, she wants to meet you. I basically just responded with, hey, let's have this conversation in person, and now I'm just trying to organize my thoughts. I honestly believe it's disrespectful to even ask me. He said, if you're not okay with that, we won't, and now when I say no, it's gonna come across to her like I'm some insecure woman about the fact that they slept with him, when the reality is I'm afraid she'll drag him back down to rock bottom. Comment. First of all, why are you engaged to this man? He's 6 years older than you and already has an addiction plus relapses behind himself. And you're extremely young. Mind you that here in Berlin I don't know a single person younger than 30 who's married. Take your time with that stuff. It would legally tie you to this man. Don't marry him. And second, tell him that you don't want him to meet this friend and see how he reacts. Then you know where the relationship is going. What silly problems. Look how this addict twists up your life. You're too young for this BS. You tell him how it is, not the other way around. You're the catch in this relationship. If he feels like he can't manipulate you anymore, you may be too naive to realize, he'll probably lose interest in you. Sorry. Addicts are so difficult and tricky. There's nothing insecure about it at all. You tell him what you wrote here. You think it's disrespectful for him to even consider it and ask you. Based on the history with this girl, there's no chance he will agree to meeting with her. And you're disappointed and sad that he would consider it, and it worries you. Is he in active recovery and does he have a sponsor? If so, he needs to talk to his sponsor about this as well, saying he wants to meet up with someone he used to use with, and is most likely she is still using. I hope you have a long engagement. You need to be careful jumping into marriage with him. Sounds like he still has things he need to work through. A long engagement won't fix that he truly doesn't care about being sober. If he wanted to be sober, he would have another sponsor. He would be making amends, like to the children he abandoned, and wouldn't be trying to go have a private meetup with his ex who he can score from. You don't get to tell him no. You get to say that you and the kids won't be going. You get to share your concerns and hope that he doesn't go. But you don't get to say no for him because you are both adults and you don't need each other's permission for things like this. He gets to take the fall for you not coming to meet her and not throw you under the bus to her. I hope you are in a support group for loved ones of addicts. Who cares what she thinks? Tell him you aren't comfortable being around her. Their history together makes you uneasy for him to be hanging out with her. Why you are comfortable with him still being in contact with these women is beyond me. He doesn't seem to be serious about staying sober. He doesn't have a sponsor. Meetings. And still wants to see his using buddies. What are his good qualities, because I'm not seeing any? Story 2. My boyfriend got his ex-girlfriend pregnant while in a relationship with me. To stay or to leave? I don't even know why I am trying to find advice to make this relationship still work right now. To run and never look back is more logical than staying at this point. I can respect it if those are the only responses I get. But please hear me out. I feel such a deep connection to this man, and he has shown to me he feels the same way about me over the months. We have had so much passion, spontaneity, care, respect, and we genuinely push each other to be the best versions of ourselves. I truly felt like I met the one. When I get into a relationship, it's because I can see us going the distance. I have only been in long-term relationships in my life. I met my boyfriend Judas, fake name, online in February while I was visiting a friend in New York. That same weekend we went out to dinner with my friends. The connection was apparent from the beginning. A few months passed where we went our separate ways for a bit, but then in May we started talking again. At the end of May we went on our first date and we just clicked instantly. We seamlessly rolled through one activity to another around his town that day. I even met his whole family at a party that night, and then we went out to a club afterward. This was only supposed to be a standard little midday date that turned into an activity-filled full day of connecting with each other. From this point we became super close. We would be on the phone for hours and making plans to see each other over weekends as often as we could. We always made the most of the time that we had because I live 2 states over, so our time is valuable. I eventually accepted the start to a relationship with him midway through the summer. This relationship has been perfect. Up until a few days ago I would say it was the best relationship I'd ever been in. That is until I found out. A week ago I received a text from an unknown number disclosing that Judas was keeping a secret from me. He has still been seeing his ex-girlfriend, and there is proof. They sent me a picture of an ultrasound. I FaceTimed him and sent him the pic of the ultrasound. He initially explained to me, a month ago he went in my phone and found old sex videos of my ex and he assumed were from while we've been together. Armed with that information, instead of asking me about it, he apparently got very drunk. Wound up at the bar and I guess texted his ex to come rescue him. From where she came to pick him up and they ended up having sex. He told me that she plans to keep the baby and she doesn't want Jay to be a part of its life if he doesn't want to be. He had found out about the pregnancy the same day I confronted him. I eventually got out of him that they had been hooking up for a while throughout our relationship. Apparently, a few weeks ago he had finally cut her off and was ready to devote himself to me. I can't trust a single word he says right now, even if he is giving me the truth. The reality of what I thought the past was has changed so drastically. It's hard to think about how careless someone could be to have unprotected sex with an ex while in a committed relationship. It would somehow have been better to learn he had sex with a random at the bar over his ex-girlfriend. I like to think that he was going to eventually tell me, but it seems like this was going to be a secret for a long time. I'm grateful to the person who anonymously texted me. I cut off communication for a while, then I slowly started to open up to him again in the past few days and am now stuck in this in-between place. We have trips and plans coming up for the holidays that I was looking forward to with him. I just don't know what to do now. My heart is crushed and searching for answers. Judas is my best friend. I love and care about him with my whole heart. He's apologized to no end and wants a fresh start with me. I want to allow it, but I also want to feel secure and healed again. I'm not so sure how both can coexist yet. I don't want to have to say goodbye to my best friend just yet. Should I stay with him? How can I move past this? Comment? Leave? You really should leave. Even if you could forgive him, she's carrying his child. She's going to be in his life forever. His kid will forever be a reminder of his betrayal. It's not worth it. Exactly, he's going to be connected to her the rest of his life. He'll have many chances to cheat again. Yes, I agree. I find his account of how they hooked up really scuzzy. Sounds like he's gotten creative to try to justify hooking up with her. He found something that told him you were with your ex. Why was he sneaking through your phone? He reacted by getting drunk and phoning his ex. This all sounds so lame. You don't seem to see how he's blaming you for all this happening. If this was legit, why couldn't he have asked you about what he saw? I don't think you know him as well as you think you do. Also, this isn't in your face new reality for you both. I don't think it will turn out well. The last thing you need is more unpleasant surprises. Somehow I think these are on the horizon. You should leave him. Most obviously because he cheated on you, but secondly because that was his first action when something cropped up. He didn't even talk to you. Didn't stew on it, didn't lose his temper, didn't get advice, just got drunk and cheated. Now he's abandoned the mother of his child. What a guy. He will keep cheating. It's his nature. Anytime things get difficult, he will cope by cheating. And he didn't even care enough about your health to use protection. I know he's